So, it's all been very exciting over the last week, what with the launch of Jeremy and Zara's new party. A lot of excitement in the air, 600,000 sign-ups. But who are these 600,000 people? Well, there's no shortage of pundits across the mainstream and right-wing media who know the answer. Let's start with the sensible mainstream media outlets, the ones that claim to employ proper journalists, the ones that have convinced a large percentage of the population and probably actually convinced themselves that they are impartial and fact-led. Leading the pack in this area of the media landscape is of course the BBC. And the BBC's Newsnight programme did not fail when it came to delivering what is the accepted wisdom across the establishment political class about who the 600,000 are. You will find the same basic assumptions that are made in this clip from Newsnight repeated everywhere from the BBC to the Guardian to the Telegraph to the New Statesman to the Spectator. Conveniently, it's exactly the viewpoint and argument that Starmer, Reeves and the rest of that motley crew want out there. Oh, the joys of client journalism. Have a listen.
When we have polled a hypothetical Corbyn-led party, and bear in mind this is hypothetical polling, so many caveats, we found it could take around 10% of the vote. I guess the question, though, is if the next election becomes a choice between Keir Starmer or whoever is Labour leader and Nigel Farage, what happens then? And I think this is the gamble that Number 10 are taking to some degree, which is that ultimately in a midterm people drift to other parties, but the idea of putting Nigel Farage in Number 10 is enough to make enough people on the left say, look, I might not like everything these guys do, but there's enough and I want to stop Nigel Farage from getting in. And I think that is going to be the interesting dynamic over the course of this parliament.
So basically, the 600,000 are just disaffected lefties who will come to heel at the next general election when Morgan McSweeney launches his genius election strategy. Vote Corbyn Sultana, get Farage. Here's the same point made by another pundit on the same edition of Newsnight, but with a nastier personal swipe at Jeremy.
I have to say, though, I'm very sceptical that Jeremy Corbyn is going to do anything other than, what history will remember Jeremy Corbyn for delivering a victory to the Tory party by being a disastrous Labour leader. Does he really want his legacy to deliver a victory to Nigel Farage by doing it again as a disastrous left leader?
So let's deal with the lesser of two evils point that's being made here. The argument runs, we, the Labour Party, might be obnoxious right-wing racists who idolise Thatcher and all her works, but that lot, Reform, they are even more obnoxious, more right-wing, more Thatcherite than us. So you horrible lefties that we can't stand and chucked out the party by the bucket load, you need to vote for us. Well, no, Mr. McSweeney, that argument is just not going to cut it, I'm afraid. Like many others, I'm no longer prepared to vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm not voting for any evil. I'm only prepared to vote for a party that has policies I actually support, and if that results in a short-lived bin fire of a Farage government that will self-destruct faster than Liz Truss's did, then so be it. If that's the price that has to be paid to destroy this rotten, corrupt iteration of the Labour Party, then it's a price I'm prepared to pay, and I don't think I'm alone in that. Maybe by the election after this one, there will be a party worthy of the name Labour and worthy of my vote. Moving on, and if a right word for an explanation of who these 600,000 people are, let's have a listen to Andrew Marr on LBC. Now, Marr never bothered to hide his own political bias, even when he was on the allegedly impartial BBC. So who does he think these 600,000 people are?
The question is, how many people will flock to this new party? I predict it'll end up being called the Peace and Justice Party or something similar. Some pollsters say around 10% of the electorate would give it a go. Joining me is the political journalist Michael Crick. Michael, great to have you on the show. You wrote a famous book about the militant tendency way back in the day, so you know a lot about the hard left. What is your view about the prospects for this party?
Ooh, scary stuff. 5 seconds in and we've got both the hard left cliche and the ever popular boogeyman of militant as the context for the new party and its supporters. God, Andrew, that was just so drearily predictable, even coming from you. Moving even further to the right, we have GB News and who they think these 600,000 people are. Brace yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been gifted another Frankenstein creation from the wacky world of the modern left. This week, Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana, admittedly not in the smoothest fashion, have announced that they will be creating a new breakaway left-wing party. Now, this is the logical endpoint of modern leftism. In fact, it is merely formalising an informal alliance that has been growing for some time.
Oh, here it comes.
That alliance is the clunky coalition of Islamist extremists, eco-zealots and far-left identity politics warriors.
Oh, so that's who we are. But do pray tell, what are our objectives?
The desire to tear down everything that makes this country and indeed Western civilization great.
Goodness, who knew? And staying in the land of right-wing delusion, we have Talk TV's take on who these 600,000 people are. Now, just bear in mind as you watch this, the guy being interviewed and slagging off Jeremy was a special advisor to Rishi Sunak. Yes, he advised the person who led the Tories to one of their worst ever election defeats. And do listen out for the really clever joke.
Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana have launched a party that we thought was going to be called Your Party, although they've now said, no, it's not called that, and we don't know what the name it is, but nonetheless, what a dynamic duo of political might we have in this pair.
Over the years, what has been revealed about Corbyn and his kind, and it's at this point, it's kind of sad. I mean, I almost feel like someone needs to just put their arm around him and say, Jeremy, it's done. It is so over.
Here comes the joke.
Did Corbyn and Sultana, or Corbana, as they will be known as a collective.
Oh, Corbana, ha 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 ha. Hysterical, mate.
Are clearly ticking every socialist box on this one. They're blaming billionaires and corporations for poverty. They're running with the narrative that the rich and the powerful are the problem, which I always find extraordinary.
Exactly. Who could blame the billionaires and corporations for anything? What's even more extraordinary as a narrative is right-wing, billionaire-funded media outlets like this continually telling us it's immigrants, people on benefits and the transgender that are the problem.
It's interesting, isn't it, that by any measure, no matter who you are objectively, capitalism has taken more people out of poverty in this world than any other single ideology. Not always perfect, and it sometimes goes awry a little, but nothing else. Never acknowledged by the left.
And now we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel with the old reds under the bed scare. If you want the billionaires and corporations to pay more tax, you're obviously out to destroy the whole capitalist system. And moving ever more rightward, let's all introduce ourselves to a new word to describe the new party and its 600,000 supporters. Come on down, Sky News Australia.
Former UK Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has launched a new hard left party, which I'm sure is just what the UK needs. But Tom, he's called it Your Party. What a stupid name.
Oh, no, it's absolutely atrocious. They then had to clarify that that's not actually the name. That's just the placeholder name or the name on the website while they work out what the name is. It's been a bit of a shower, to be perfectly frank. I mean, it's incredible that at one point Labour were putting this man forward to run the country. He can't even pull off a website launch without it turning into a complete shambles. As you say, we really don't need this, something for voters to flock to if they feel like the Labour Party is insufficiently Israelophobic. That seems to be essentially the sell here.
Israelophobic? Credit where credit's due. He's the first commentator in this rundown to go for that particular smear so directly. Well, he must be thinking, that lie worked the last time, so... And finally, on to the far outer limits of the not only delusional but terminally stupid right-wing media, and this chap.
Jeremy Corbyn, the former leader of the Labour Party, has started a new one. A new party, that is, except this one doesn't have a name. But what it does have is 200,000 members gained in the space of 24 hours. Sounds a little bit scary, right? But I actually think this is a good thing for those of us on the right. I'll explain why in this video. It's not just Jeremy, though. He's actually been joined by other MPs like Zara Sultana, Iqbal Mohammed, Shaukat Adam, Adnan Hussein. What do all of those names have in common, I wonder? They're not very English, are they?
Not very English names. So I suppose those of us with Scottish, Irish and Welsh names must be suspect as well as having not very English names. Sadly, we can all be blessed with very English names like Farage. So, in conclusion, what have we learned about the 600,000? Well, every so-called mainstream and right-wing outlet is wrong about us. No, BBC, we won't be tempted back to Labour by the lesser of two evils argument, even if it means a short-lived, chaotic reform government. No, Mr. Marr, the old hard left and militant tropes won't deter us. No, GB News, we are not plotting the downfall of Western civilization. And no Talk TV, we're really not plotting the downfall of world capitalism either. And no Sky Australia, we are not Israelophobic. And no weird YouTuber person, it has nothing to do with the Englishness of people's surname. Hard as it is for you all to believe, we just want a better, fairer society where the rich and corporations pay their fair share. We don't want a society where fellow citizens are begging on the streets while others have more money in offshore accounts than they could spend in several lifetimes. We want a properly funded NHS, the elderly properly taken care of, and no child living in poverty. But that's a description of the 600,000 you won't see on the mainstream or right-wing media outlets. So thanks very much for watching. Please do help support left-wing media and like the video and of course subscribe to the channel.